She.
What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile video. This time I'll be showing you the changes and updates to my Shark deck. All the new Shark support that came out recently has completely rewritten the basic formula of how this deck operates. I can play any card out of my deck so much easier, and because we're in Master Rule 5, this deck is so much more freeform and so much more fun to play. I almost forgot what it was like and how good it felt to be able to exceed spam. But you'll see what I mean when we take a closer look. Starting off with the monsters, we have a playset of Beautiful Princess. When she's played, you can banish her to pull any level 4 fish monster from your deck. She may be a hard once per turn, but she gives you immediate access to anything in the deck. A playset of Buzzsaw Shark. It lets you target a water monster you control and special summon a monster whose level is the same as it from the deck. But if you use this effect, you're locked into Exceed summons for the rest of the turn. Also, he can treat himself as a level 3, 4, or 5 monster for an Exceed summon, though you're still going to be playing mostly rank 4s, let's just be honest. A pair of Double Fin Shark. You normal summon him, you get back any level 3 or 4 fish monster from your graveyard, so he himself can be a rank 4 all on his own, but not until after the first turn, so he's not really worth running at 3 at the moment. A playset of Lantern Shark. If he's normal or special summon, you can special summon any level 3, 4, or 5 fish from your hand, like Buzzsaw Shark, but you're locked into only being able to Exceed summon for the rest of the turn. And just like Buzzsaw Shark, he treats himself as a level 3, 4, or 5 monster for an Exceed summon. One Royal Swamp Eel. Yes, I do still have a couple of synchro plays in this deck, though I don't use them very much anymore, but they are there in the event the opportunity strikes. A playset of Silent Angler. He special summons himself out of the hand, but he locks you out of being able to special summon anything else out of your hand. Thanks to the ability of Lantern Shark special summoning a lot of my cards out of my hand beforehand, I can play Silent Angler much more reliably now. Speaking of special summoning out of the hand, we still run the playset of White Stingray. It inherently special summons itself out of the hand by dropping a water monster out of your hand. Also, if you happen to re-summon it out of the graveyard, it can treat itself as a tuner for the rest of the turn. A playset of Wind-Up Shark. When a wind-up monster is summoned to your field, you can special summon him from your hand, and that is not once per turn. Also, he can up or down his level by 1, so he feeds into the rank 3, 4, and 5 plays, just like Buzzsaw and Lantern Shark. And a playset of Xyz Remora, the best play extender that this deck probably will ever have. He can inherently special summon himself by detaching 2 materials from any Xyz monsters you control, and when you do so successfully, his effect finally activates, which resummons 2 fish monsters out of the graveyard in defense mode with their effects negated. But you can't use them for an Xyz summon unless it's for a water monster. Next we have the spell cards. A playset of Call by the Grave. This deck does want to go first more often than anything, and even now I'm still seeing plenty of hand trap based play. A pair of Cosmic Cyclone. Now that the deck can actually play its cards out of hand more reliably, I don't need to rely on Twin Twisters in this build, so Cosmic Cyclone was the next logical step. A pair of Generation Force, and yes, I know it should be a playset, but because I wanted to try the other new fish cards as well, I knocked this down to 2, but I'll probably put it back to 3 on the next update. One Instant Fusion, unfortunately, but it's completely understandable as to why they knocked it down to 1. One Monster Reborn, stable card in pretty much all of my decks. One 1-for-1. You discard a monster from your hand and it lets you pull, to be straightforward, Beautiful Princess right out of the deck. One Raigeki, because I can't afford Lightning Storms. One Rank Up Magic 7th one, which now, even though I already had the ability to stack it, is even more stackable in the deck. A copy of Torpedo Takedown. Detaches a material from Water Exceeds, deals 400 damage to your opponent for every card in your hand, and then the monster whom you detached from gains attack points equal to the amount of damage your opponent just took until the end phase of the turn. Also, if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and any Exceeds monster out of your graveyard to draw 2. This initially sounds like a phenomenal card until you realize you can only use one of its 2 effects per turn. And to be honest, after playing it, it really doesn't have enough playability to be played. And I don't feel like putting Foolish Burial Goods in this deck because I'm already crammed to capacity as it is. So I'm probably going to be cutting it on the next build. And a pair of Whitefish Salvage. It lets you add any fish monster in your graveyard back to your hand as a hard once per turn, and if your opponent happens to be, well, unfortunate enough to kill this, it lets you either add or special summon any fish monster from your deck. I only run one trap card in this deck, but I do run Xyz's Revive Splash. It resummons any rank 4 or lower Xyz monster in the graveyard and treats it as water, provided it wasn't water already. You can also banish this card from your graveyard and target a water Xyz you control and rank it up into a water Xyz monster of 1 rank higher. Again, just like Torpedo Takedown, all these effects are great on paper, but when you realize you can only use one of these 2 effects per turn, it really diminishes the value of the card. I don't think it's going to be sticking around in the next update. Next, we move into the side deck. Just like before, I'm still running the playset of Dark Ruler No More, Herald of the Abyss, Solemn Johnson, Solemn Strike, and Solemn Warning. And finally, we finish up with the extra deck. Because I'm still running 1 Instant Fusion, I am going to keep the 1 rare fish for the moment. 1 Adamancipator Risen Dragite. It shocked the crap out of me when it turned out that this thing was completely generic, at least on its summoning condition. And while I don't have access to its ability to reveal top cards off my deck, and for every rock monster I revealed I get the bounce cards back to the opponent's hand, I do get to take advantage of the fact that as long as there's a water monster in the graveyard, he can freely negate any spell trap once per turn. 1 White Aura Whale. When summoned, he Raigekis all attack position monsters the opponent controls. He can attack twice per turn, he does piercing damage, so even defensive opponents have to be concerned, and if he's destroyed, I can resummon him out of the graveyard by banishing a water monster out of the grave, and he's treated as a tuner if I do this. 1 Totally Awesome, a free negate for any spell card, trap card, or monster effect, and if he happens to go to the graveyard, I can retrieve any water monster and put it back in my hand. 1 Number 71 Rebarian Shard, which I can now actually play out of the extra deck thanks to Buzzsaw, Lantern, and Wind-Up Sharks. It lets me resummon any number monster out of my graveyard and then move a material from it to that monster I just resummoned. And if he happens to go to the graveyard, then I can stack any rank up magic spell on top of my deck, which of course would be rank up magic the 7th one. 1 Abyss Dweller. I've always been hesitant about running lockout cards against my opponent, but at this moment in time, because this deck has very little options in the way of negation, interference, or just general beatdown compared to what most decks can do right now, he is kinda necessary. He detaches a material during either turn to prevent the activation of any cards or effects in your opponent's graveyard, and while he has a material on him that is water attribute, he gives all water monsters I control an extra 500 attack and defense. A pair of Bahamut Shark. Yes, I am playing a pair now, even though Toad has been limited down to 1, and that's because I have more than enough targets to warrant it. 1 Full Armored Black Ray Lancer. If I'm playing Rebarian, I'm playing Black Ray Lancer. He can stack himself on top of Rebarian Shark if he doesn't have any materials, or I could just use 3 level 4 monsters. If he kills a monster in battle, I can also pop a spell trap the opponent controls, and he loses the extra 200 attack points per material, but if he would be destroyed, I can detach all the materials out from underneath him. Number 32 Shark Drake, the OG meme of any shark deck. If he manages to kill a monster in battle, I can detach a material, resummon that monster, make it lose 1,000 attack points, and then he can attack again. Not in a row, not against the same monster, he just gets another attack. A pair of Hope-Woven Dragon Spider Shark. When any monster battles, he detaches a material to reduce all the opponent's attack position monsters by 1,000 points until the end of the turn, and if he were to be destroyed, he resummons any other monster out of your graveyard. A single copy of 101 Silent Honor Arc. Double detach to steal any opponent's special summon monster in attack mode and attach it to him as material, and if he would be destroyed, you can detach a material from him instead, including the one you just stole. Number C101 Silent Honor Arc. He can target any special summon monster the opponent controls and equip it to him as an Xyz material. And if he's destroyed and sent to the graveyard while you have 101 in the grave and he has Xyz material, he can resummon himself and give you life points equal to his current attack points, but he can't attack in the turn he does that. And finally, one copy of Valiant Shark Lancer. This single Xyz monster has changed the way all of my base plays are now done. If I can play him over any other starting body with Xyz Remora, I will. He targets an opponent's monster, detaches a material from any Xyz monster you control, and destroy it. And it's a quick effect if you control a different Xyz monster. In addition, if any other Xyz monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, he can then stack any spell in your deck on top of your deck. I can't even begin to describe how useful a utility ability that is. Raigeki, or Monster Reborn, or Whitefish Salvage. There's generous playability with an ability like that. And that is the deck. Sharks have come a long way since their initial design. They have such a nice variety of main deck and extra deck cards. The only thing this deck needs is maybe something that can protect you a little more heavily. Despite the fact that you can spam these monsters at basically any time with a decent hand, the extra deck options that you rely on are a little bit iffy in today's game. I thank you guys for watching the deck profile video, and if you can think of any ways that I can improve this Pure Water deck, feel free to let me know. In the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.